Hey guys, Mars Thinking here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we'll be doing the team building guide for the GOBROS EZA, the Tech LR Gohan and Goten. This comes out on Global tomorrow. I think the time this video goes up, it's going to be 13.5 hours time. This will release, of course, during my early stream tomorrow. Those of you who are familiar with the schedule, the EZA will drop 30 minutes after the stream starts. Those of you not familiar, check out my stream schedule. It's posted on my Twitter as the pinned tweet. It's on the YouTube community tab. It's also in the Discord, the link to which is down below, so you guys will know. I mean, events always come out at the same time, right? This is in the news on your global thing. Wherever you are, it will be localized to your time, so you can see when the EZA is exactly dropping. But we're getting the LR Extreme Z battle, so only 10 stages, thank goodness. LR EZAs, maybe one day they'll make them all like this. Wouldn't that be nice? 10 stages, you get 3 stones per stage, so you still get 30 stones overall. You also get 5 of the Kais, so that you can get them straight up to SA 25. So 30 stones in total. You get some tech orbs as well, which is a nice little addition. I always find it odd that you get orbs for these, right? Because if you're doing the EZA for a unit, you would imagine you already have them and have already put hidden potential investment, but not going to turn my nose up at 3 orbs. And then you do get 3 stones for beating stage 7, so it'll be 33 stones in total. So the specialist category, as always when it comes to LR EZAs, the legendary power link and having that active is how you do the most damage. So even LRs not in the specialist category will be able to do decent damage against the boss. However, the specialist category is for the defense. So planetary destruction is the category. It means all non-planetary destruction units will take extra damage. In fact, can take significant amounts of damage, especially in the later stages. So some of these LR EZAs you can brute force through with your strongest LRs that aren't on the right category. But some of these, like especially in the final stages, will hit incredibly hard against units not in planetary destruction. So we're going to take a look at the category. It's not the biggest category overall. So we're going to go through, as always, with my team building guides, the top picks and honorable mentions. If there's any units that I missed out or you think I should have talked more about and why they would be good for the team build, obviously do let me know down below in the comment section. And if you find the guide helpful at all, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So straight away we will start off, as we always do, by going over the potential leaders that you can use. Now Int Broly is one of the oldest units who he straight up has a planetary destruction leader skill. So obviously very easy to build the team with him as the leader, because you can just use any planetary destruction units you have and they're obviously all going to fit under his leader skill. Now he does only have HP 130% whilst giving attack and defense 170, so your overall HP for the team will be a bit lower than if you were to use a different leader, but you know, he will incorporate the whole team, so very solid leader skill. He of course has type advantage for this event. He has damage reduction, he has the chance to do additional supers, and because we are fighting against a hybrid Saiyan enemy, he does get the extra key, extra attack that has a chance to become a super, and extra damage reduction. It is after super that he gets it, but we get that because we are fighting Hybrid Saiyans, so it's a good event for him, even though he is only a TUR. Remember, as we said at the beginning, legendary power link being active is how you do the most damage, but as I always say with these LR guides, I have done full 10 stage LR EZAs using a full team of TURs before. It is possible, it just means you do less damage because you're not getting the legendary power link active. So Broly can definitely be a good choice. And then of course we have the AGL LR Golden Frieza, who also has a planetary destruction leader skill. His is 4 key and 150. So if you had to choose between him and Broly, he does give more HP and he does give 1 extra key. He just gives a little bit less attack and defense. So if you are building a team full of LRs because you want to get, you know, legendary power active as much as possible, Frieza could be a good choice because of the extra key, or you could bring a friend Frieza, or, you know, you could do it either way, right? Use Frieza as your leader, bring a different friend. So he's a viable option for a leader, but he is also probably a top pick for the team, because even though he has type disadvantage, obviously he has very, very high damage reduction, and whilst that goes down as the event goes on, EZAs are usually very short events. So, you know, you're probably not going to get to the point where, say he was on turn 1, he's going to have a little bit less defensive power on turn 3, but he should still be fine. And then chances are you're not getting to turn 5 unless you're in the later phases. And then even if you are, with his damage reduction starting to drop off, it's only really a super attack that's going to do damage to him anyway. So Golden Frieza, the LR Golden Frieza, definitely a top choice for this team. Even if you're not using him as a leader, he definitely is a go-to choice, because Defensive Juggernaut is an LR, so he can get legendary power, has a guaranteed extra attack, so he can just be very, very good, right? Very solid addition for the team. And then we have these guys. It's worth mentioning, of course, you know, EZAs that drop in these big celebrations will often be geared towards pulling the new units. So we have the Amand and Raisin, who not only have a Planetary Destruction leader skill of 3 key and 130%, they are also a Planetary Destruction support unit for 1 key and 30% attack and defense. And then, of course, if the unit is in Space Traveling Warriors as well, they get an extra 20% defense and 10% crit chance, which some of the units we will be talking about obviously do fit into that category. So these guys, I mean, they can be a last resort leader with the 130% leader skill, but if you did summon on the Teles banner and you pulled these guys, then obviously they will be a very good support unit for the team, very good defensive unit in slot 1, and obviously in this event, you know, Extreme Z battles aren't the hardest hitting events, and they are a type advantage slot 1 tank, because as much as you want to get legendary power active, you could easily run these guys in slot 1 and then have most of the rest of your team be LRs, so then you're always having an LR in slot 2 next to them, and then LRs floating, so that they are going to have legendary power active, right? So these guys definitely can be very, very useful. And of course, if you did summon on Teles' banner and you pulled him, remember that he is a Space Traveling Warriors or Pure Saiyans lead that then gives 30% extra to Planetary Destruction. So if you build a team of full Planetary Destruction characters that are Space Traveling Warriors or Pure Saiyans, then they all get a full 200% leader skill from this Teles. So obviously that includes him, the Broly, the Amand and Raisin are obviously on his team as well. So this guy can be very, very good. Now, obviously, he is not an LR, but hey, we get an event where there's a Goku family enemy, so you will get his active skill, which means he'll be providing the whole team with 3 key and 18% attack. So honestly, one of the most powerful ways you could run this team is to run double Teles leads if you did pull him, and then just run a bunch of LRs that fit under his 200% leader skill. And then once the second turn hits and the other Teles' active intro buff comes into play, all the LRs on your team are getting 6 key and 36% extra attack. So if you did pull Teles, this EZA is going to be very, very easy, right? So definitely a good shout. Obviously, the more TURs you use, the less likely you are to get 2 LRs on the same rotation so you can get legendary power. But I mean, this guy's going to be very, very effective in this EZA, so definitely worth considering. And of course, we have the LR Teles. So, you know, say you summoned on the banner, even if you did pull physical Teles, a solid option would be to run these guys in slot 1 and then just run these guys in slot 2, having another LR floating so that these guys get legendary power active. And not only are they supporting all Terrifying Conquerors, they get extra key, they get attacks effective against all types when the enemy is stunned, which unfortunately not useful for EZAs, but they do get attacks effective against all types and a high chance to super when key is 24. Difficult to do in certain situations, but if you are running double physical Teles and you've got his intro buff active, that's 6 extra key they're getting straight away, which is very, very good. Unfortunately, their active skill that gives them guaranteed 24 key, you can't use until turn 8. So you're never going to see that. But these guys on the team, definitely a solid choice, especially if you are running Amand and Raisin or any other Teles, right? Because they have those Teles links like Destroyer of the Universe, Thirst for Conquest, Brutal Beatdown, like very, very good unit for this EZA in particular. Next up, we have the boy STR LR Cooler. Obviously, he is an absolute monster of a unit. He is on Planetary Destruction and Space Traveling Warriors, so he will be on Teles' full 200% team. Very, very powerful unit, as we know, can dish out tons of damage, do loads of additional supers, getting crits, all that kind of stuff. His active skill, he has to do 8 or more attacks. So, I mean, you can technically have this unlocked by his third appearance, but if he's on turn 1, that's going to be turn 5, so very unlikely you're still in the fight by then. But this guy can be an absolute damage dealing machine. And of course, with legendary power active, he's just going to be shredding through the GOBRO's HP. So he's definitely very, very good. We have Int LR Cell. Obviously, very powerful LR, especially with his Easy A. His healing ability could be incredibly useful if you are finding the later stages a little bit more difficult, because obviously Easy A's you can't use items, so you can't heal. So getting that full heal, and then him, of course, evolving into the much more powerful Perfect Cell form, when you drop below 40% HP, can be very, very powerful. I mean, even in his untransformed form, because he has type advantage as well, he's going to be very, very powerful in this Easy A. So he's worth running on the team as well. Unfortunately, whilst he is on Planetary Destruction, he is an A-Space Traveling Warrior. So he's not going to be on like the Turles build or some of the other builds. But if you're running a Planetary Destruction lead, then obviously he is going to be very, very strong. Next up, we have the Int Exchange Goku and Vegeta from Namek from the old 2021 Worldwide Download Celebration. These guys, again, just a solid pick because they're an LR with type advantage. Decent. They have some of the decent Saiyan links, so if you are running Turles or one of the builds like that, then obviously they can fit onto that team very well. They also have the Revival Exchange thing. So if you do drop to 29% or less HP, you can then get a revive and exchange into Goku. You probably won't see this very much. Like this in Vegeta form is pretty solid for, you know, the content that's not super difficult, especially with type advantage. So he should do pretty well post super when it comes to taking hits. If you do exchange into the Goku, then obviously he is very, very powerful as well. So very solid unit for the team, especially if you are running some of those other, like, well, it's mainly Turles or Broly, I guess, like the Saiyan characters, right? Because they will share some extra links with them. And then we have the Great Ape Vegeta, who works decently well with that other Vegeta. He guards, he gets a buff if he gets hit first, so he can go in slot 1, and then you could have the Namek Vegeta in slot 2. Get legendary power active, do a decent amount of damage. You can use an active skill to transform into the giant ape if you get to 40% or less HP, and that has no turn restriction. So if you got blasted by a super in the first turn and then this guy comes onto the second rotation, you can just transform into the giant ape, do a bunch of free damage, and then of course with the giant ape transformations, any super attacks would be cancelled out for the turn where you go back to normal, so that could be very, very effective as well. So I feel like there's two major builds you could lean towards, which is mostly Saiyans and then like mostly the Wicked Bloodline characters, right? Because we have Broly, another strong Saiyan character, obviously with his Easy A, bit outdated for current, like, really difficult content, but for an Extreme Z battle, where you don't have to worry about things like AoEs and stuff like that, you could have him as one of the third slot floating LRs that's just there to activate legendary power for the unit that's in slot 2, and because we're fighting a hybrid Saiyan, he gets extra ki. Because we're fighting a Goku family character, he's effective against all types, so he could actually do some pretty solid damage. His defense won't be the best, so in the later stages, he definitely would take a lot of damage from a super, but from normals and stuff, especially after getting off a couple of super attacks, he would be absolutely fine. So I think I might use him just for the fact it's been so long since I've gotten to use him, right? So STR LR Broly could definitely make a good appearance. Then we have some other random Planetary Destruction LRs like Jackie Chun. Doesn't really fit on many of the other builds, but if you're running a Planetary Destruction lead, then obviously he can be pretty good. As long as he does the 18 key super, he gets 50% damage reduction from the enemy that he attacked. So he can be another unit that if you are just running the straight up Planetary Destruction leader skill, he could be another option to be a third slot floating LR just to activate legendary power, and then his damage reduction is going to keep him safe. We also have the Int LR Piccolo from the World Tournament. Now, with his Easy A, you kind of want to be running him with a Gohan, although I suppose he doesn't necessarily need to guard, because he gets guard and extra defense if he's on rotation with a Gohan. So he doesn't need to guard because we're fighting a tech enemy, but he does give extra support with a Gohan on the team as well. So I don't know if I would run him without a Gohan, and the only one that's on Planetary Destruction is this guy, who is type disadvantage. He does stack defense, and he does have an active skill that heals you, gives him guard, and raises all allies defense. So to be honest, he could be somewhat runnable, but in the later phases, especially if he gets hit with a super, he's going to take a lot of damage. So I would not probably run this guy at all unless you are running this Piccolo. But I mean, he does give defense support, like, to all allies and everything, but yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't run him on the team unless you want to take advantage of the LR Piccolo. Also because he's just another TUR, right? And you want to try and run as many LRs as possible. But you could definitely get away with running him. And then we have this Frieza. This Frieza remains relevant even to this day because of the fact that he has guard And when there's a Goku family enemy, he has damage reduction. Well, when there's a Goku family enemy, he gets guard and ki +2 and attack and defense 20% to all allies. And then he has 50% damage reduction when guard is active. Now, obviously, against tech enemies, he gets that anyway. But because we are fighting a Goku family enemy, he has the guaranteed guard. He gets the support for all allies. So if you're running a lot of other Wicked Bloodline units that he's going to link up very well with, he fits very nicely on that team. Like if you're running double LR Golden Frieza, and then you're rocking like Cooler in slot 2, maybe another LR in slot 2 on the other rotation, this guy floating to give support and some of those links would obviously be very, very effective. So he is good despite being a TUR. Same with this guy, right? A lot of the Frieza, well, all the Friezas are on sworn enemies. I think is Cell on sworn enemies as well. I need to double check the Cell. Is Cell on there? Where did Cell go? I've completely lost where the Cell one was. Is Cell on sworn enemies? Yeah, he is. So Cell gets the buff from him as well. So Friezas and the Cell will get support from this guy. He's got type advantage. He can do multiple supers to get his defense up, so he can be quite useful. Obviously, this Cooler, most of the Friezas and the Cooler that we talked about already are all on transformation boost, so he'll be buffing all of them, as well as being the really good link partner for the STR LR Cooler. So again, very solid build with the Wicked Bloodline setup, where you can run double LR Golden Frieza, have them both on slot 1 on both rotations, and then have units like this and the Int Frieza floating for support will be very, very powerful. And then last but not least, we have this guy, the Namek. He's the 50% support for Extreme Int, so I know a lot of people won't have this guy, but he's going to link up decently well with some of the other Saiyans. He has big bad bosses. And then, yeah, he provides 50% attack and defense to extreme int types, of which we have gone over quite a lot of them for this guide. So he can be quite useful if you do have him. Definitely not a must run, right? So if you don't have him, it's not the end of the world. So if we take a quick back look here at Planetary Destruction, I didn't really talk about the full power Frieza because he has type disadvantage. You're not fighting a Goku, but if you want to build like the full Wicked Bloodline run, he could be very good. I think maybe the STR full power Frieza might be slightly better because he doesn't have type disadvantage. Because remember, in Easy A's, you can't run units with the same names. The Prime Battle Frieza could be another one that you want to fit in if you are running the Wicked Bloodline build. But yeah, basically all of the LRs, except maybe Tech Broly. He might be a little bit too outdated, but if he doesn't take many hits, especially linked up with the other LR Broly, you could kind of get away with him on the team maybe. And then I tried not to cover too many TURs except the ones I thought would be the most useful. Obviously, you know, if you don't have LR Golden Frieza, the AGL TUR Golden Frieza can be a really good defensive unit as well. Tech Transforming Frieza, if you are going for the Wicked Bloodline build. There's also the Int Golden Frieza. So, I mean, there's a lot of Wicked Bloodline options that can be very good. Int Turles, whilst not being great, still needs an Easy A, is a Turles option if you don't have one, who does provide, I think, is it key support to all allies? So, I mean, he needs an Easy A desperately, but he gives 3 key and 20% attack, so I guess you could use him, but obviously not if you're running physical Turles. I probably wouldn't run AGL Turles just because of the type disadvantage, although I guess maybe Great Ape Turles could be kind of useful as well. So yeah, those are the top picks and honorable mentions for Planetary Destruction. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Like I said at the beginning, if there's any units I missed out or units you think I should have talked more about, let me know. And let me know in the comments what your team build is going to look like for the Planetary Destruction setup for the GOBROS Extreme Z battle. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.